So this is going to be the top plate bracket. So what I've done is squared these plates up, just using that as a bit of a flat base. Clamped a spacer in between the distance that we need it, and then what I've done is got some tacks on the back plate. Now this plate's going to be staying on, and that's probably going to be stitch welded from there and from there, leaving a bit in the middle, and the same on this side. And what I've done is, to make sure nothing moves and hopefully it doesn't pull too much when I weld it all up, is I put this bit of plate on the front and just welded it on the sides here because that can get round back easier. And yeah, the pin pitch through at the moment nice and easy. So let's get this side welded up and then see what happens. So I'm going to leave this in while I weld the outside edge, and then take that out and then put the runs of weld on the inside as well. Then what we need to do is get that there, clean up this here, and then we'll get it welded on here, because this should be the piece of channel that goes in the top of the frame. And there we go, I've taken the support out of here now, that's down there. And I've got 3 tacks now down each side, so that holds that in place now. I'm not going to do any more welding on that until I've got this tacked in, just because I don't want this to start warping before I put it in place. Then once this is all put in place and tacked in nice and strong, we can get this welded up, and then we can do the welds down there last, and hopefully that will stop it warping. Then we can cut this plate back off and we'll be good. I've got my spacers in here and in here now, and I've made this little shim test piece which I can drop down in here. So what I'm going to do now is measure the thickness of that cross section, and then what I will do is put these in the milling machine on the parallels in the vise and take these down to the same thickness as that, and then it should all fit. My setup now to get the steel to the correct width is, I bought some parallels last year. They were the cheapest ones that I could find, that are to within, I think it's a thou. They're a box of 4, so you get 4 pairs, but one pair here isn't high enough so that the milling head clears the top of the vise. So what I've had to do is, it's not ideal, but I've put this parallel in on top to pack it out a bit, and I've also taken the mill scale off of here so that it sits a bit flatter, and then what I can do is clamp that in there and then mill it down to size. So what I've done now is I have moved the piece along in the vise, and I'm just going to send the table back so I can start milling again, and then we'll carry on from there, work across that bit, and then move the last bit to here, and then do that bit as well. So we can now take this back to the 0 there somewhere at the right height, and that one should be when it comes down to 0 on this time. Then we can start doing the milling, and it's a bit of a faff. It's the best that I've got. but it's a lot more accurate than the grinder. So we've got these both made now, and I'd say that was a pretty good fit. Very pleased with that. So we'll get them welded in now, and then we'll be able to get the piece across here. We'll probably put a brace on the back before we weld that, so this doesn't pull on the back edge and keeps us parallel. And then once that's done, we can get the two side bits in, ready for that. Then all we'll have to do is drill the holes for these bolts to go through there, and then we'll make some spaces to go between the back of this plate and the front of inside there to hold it, and that should be us done. And then it all needs welding up. Joy! Got our spacers in now, so I've got the 5mm one there, the 9mm one there, same on this side. I'm going to do a check to see if I need to cut any of this off. If I do, it'll have to be with the angle grinder. What else have we done? We have got the outside plate tacked on, got the inside plate tacked on, drilled the holes here, which will be for these bolts here to go through, so we need to make spacers to go in there, between there and the frame, so we can do them up. Yeah, got this side tacked on as well, holes drilled this side. We've welded this support on here because the next job is to put the top link bracket on here, so hopefully with this on here, when I weld all this up, it won't pull, and that is the theory. So we can get it all tacked on, a few good tacks on this side, a few good tacks on that side, and then I think we'll weld there, 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 and then do the outside edges, and that should reduce the amount it pulls then, hopefully. So yeah, all in all, it's going quite well. It's a bit awkward working on these trestles just to get it the right height. Could ideally do with preheating the 15mm plate, but at the moment we don't have that. So what we're going to do is, once it's all tacked up and ready to go, we know it's going to work, we're going to V these out. So we'll get the 1mm cutting disc, we'll just put a bevel in here and in here, and that'll let us sync weld into that then, and then we can get into this 10mm bit here, because there's not a lot of strength in the top piece, but the strength is in this web. So we'll get that cut out, and then we'll get that welded in, and once that's burnt in, we'll all be done. Whee! Got the top link bracket welded on now. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 different welds on that. Hopefully that'll stop it all twisting. I've cut some gussets in here, or fillets, whatever you want to call them, and the same on this side, because this part of the web here is where all the strength is. There's not really any strength in the top piece, because it's not all, well, you can see how thick the top is, it's half of the web. So I'm going to tip it back, fill this up with welds so it pulls on the web itself on both sides, and hopefully that'll stop anything moving, and then we can run a bead down here and a bead down here, and then do the same on the inside, and we can give it a lift and drop it on, and hopefully it's going to fit. But the first thing I'm going to do is just fill these in here, and then we'll do a test fit then, because at the moment I'm not too sure how much these little welds are penetrated. So that's what we're going to be doing, but it is definitely taking shape, so I'm happy with that so far. So as we can see, we do have a bit of interference here and here. I'd already cut the channel to give it clearance, so we're going to have to cut this bit out and that bit out, and then it will drop straight on, hopefully.
Say, can you
Right, it's almost there. I'm sure it's got to go down a little bit further than what it is there, but I might be wrong. Just to make sure the bolt holes line up. You see there's the bolt heads. We're not a million miles away, so we need to make some spaces now to go in there, so the bolts can come through, clamp this to this plate. Do the same on the other side. The other side's got to go down a little bit more, so it's rocking on something. But we're not a million miles away, so we need to see where it's snagging, and it could be just on the weld down there. So I need to take it off and check that. But yeah, there's no play in it, so it's really good. So happy. So we'll take it off, we'll give it a clean up, find out why it's just not quite going on properly, and we can get it all welded up then and we're ready to go. One last thing we do need to really do though is just do a check to make sure the front linkage fits in there okay. Should do. I can't see why it wouldn't. So we'll do a measurement of that and double check that before we weld all that up. Okay, welding time. So the theory is if we weld in here, in there and in there, that'll put that in compression then when it pulls against these welds. Then we can do the same here, which will put that in compression against that. We do the same down there, in there, in there, in there, in there, in there. And then what we'll do is we'll flip it over and cut out the tops. So we'll put the recesses in, you know, for the fillets, put the bevel in to cut through the tops, and then we'll lay it down and do the inside edges, and then we'll do the outside edges. That's the plan anyway. Hopefully it doesn't pull too much, but we'll see. And it's starting to rain, so we might have to work under the gazebo. It's been a bit wet. It has been torrential rain. Right, we've got most of the welding done now. Next job we need to do is, we still haven't done these yet, but we need to put the bevels on these. Same on that side, same on the back there. And then we're pretty much there with it. Yeah, I mean, looking at it down there, it hasn't pulled out of shape really, looking at it, I don't think. Still looks pretty square that way, so the bracing's done its job. Just got to do a bit of cleaning up now. Yeah, pigeons have landed again. Just chisel a couple of bits of these spatter off, and yeah, a couple of bits in here need just chiseling off, bits of spatter. But yeah, overall not too bad, not too bad. So what I've been doing, I've been welding 2.5mm rods on this at 130 amps, and that is just so that I can burn into this 15mm plate, because down here there's been no bevel to get in underneath or anything, so it's just a straight fillet weld on that. And I could have done it with 3.2s, but I didn't know how much penetration I was going to get with 3.2 because I haven't preheated it, so I went with the 2.5s. Up here though, I have triple welded it, so I've gone in first run with the 2.5 at 130 amps, and then I've done a second and a third run with the 3.2s at the same ampage. So the only reason I've done that is because obviously there's a lot less area here for weld to connect this to this. Down here, this and that are connected to that, and then these two are connected to them too, so there's a lot more surface area there for the weld, so I'm quite happy with them as they are. But like I say, I've triple welded these just because there's not as much surface area for the weld to pull on. Got to do these bits here as well, so they can be done once this has come off. But what I can do is do that bit there, do that bit there while that's on, and then I could do in there and in there while this is on, and then cut these off, and we should be pretty much done. Next thing to do then is make up the little spaces to go in here, and which will bolt it to the carriage plate, and then it's going off for powder coating. So it has been a very, very, very wet afternoon. Yeah, I mean, literally the bit under the table was the only bit which didn't have water on it. The rest of this, the rain's just, yeah, I couldn't squeegee it dry in time, so I had the welder set up on blocks, and yeah, it's been a challenge. I've had my Weldtech welding mask on. It's one of these air-fed ones. Yeah, it's brilliant because it's been damp, and that normally makes your mask steam up, and it's been fine. The only downside to it is you get somebody called Monkey Roo coming to help. Monkey Roo's a smoker, and he thinks it's fun to blow smoke into the fan motor, which means the welding helmet fills up with smoke and you can't see. So thanks for that, Monkey. Yeah, the help is very much appreciated, because that weighs about 80 kilos now. So one person each side, you can flick it on these two bits of box and flick it over quite easily, whereas by yourself it's a flipping nightmare. The other thing I need to do is just put some more welds down in here. I'm gonna drill spots out in here, I think, and then just put the weld in to the holes, and that'll pull that together. And then we need to get a couple of welds on the back side of it. I think that might be a MIG job on the back, just to try and hold that together, because it'd be easier to get the MIG in, and you can build up more material quicker than you can with the arc welder. Got our weld prep done now, so just cut a bevel in with the angle grinder, as you can see. Gone in probably about 5mm. Done the same on this side. Fire a rod into that now. That will give us a nice flush weld, but we'll also get plenty of penetration because we've got the bevel on it. And as you can see, we are pretty much up to where the other weld is, so when that's burnt in a couple of mil, we should end up there with full penetration welds on them bits. I think after 25 years of practice, I might finally be getting somewhere. So as you can see, they are pretty flat. So yeah, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. And there we go, the last few welds are done. All laid in nice and flat. A little bit more on these because it's going to be pulling that way, and that web and that web are the strongest. Same as this side, so not bothered about them being a little bit thicker. Works better on top, not a lot of strength, but they're burnt in 110 amps, 2.5mm rod. Really happy with how it's come out. Looking down it, it's still pretty straight. Really happy with that. Spreading the welds out has worked really well too. Oh, listen to that, look at the sky up there. So, on that rumble of thunder, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, because I'm packing up pronto. We're now on to the last spacer, and the holes have been drilled. It's been machined down to size, and the last job I'm going to do is just put a bevel on this edge. So I've marked it 5mm in from each side, from this side and that side. Scribed across, don't know whether you can see it there, but I'll put a line across, and that's going to be my depth. So what I do is, and there must be a better way of doing it, so I'll pop it in the vise, put my angle gauge on. I don't have a 45 that's small enough to go in there really, so that's why I'm doing the angle gauge one. But set that to 45 degrees, lock the vise off, and if anyone knows, please let us know in the comments. There must be a better way of doing it, because I thought if I have the point on the bottom, I can do two edges by flicking it around and my height would stay the same, and then set it for the one where the chamfer's on the bottom of the vise to do the other two, and then the height would stay the same, so I could flick them around. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. I don't know why. In my head it should. So I'm constantly having to reset the height. Now, if I had a height stop here to set the height, and then be able to set the 45, that would work. But I don't have that. So if anyone knows of a better way of doing it, please let me know in the comments. And there we go, nice and easy, a bit time consuming. I'd like to have it a bit easier to do the changeover without keep measuring it, but like I say, if you've got any ideas, let me know in the comments and we can give them a go next time. Got the new bolts now. These are quite a bit longer than the originals, probably 40mm. So what we need to do is put them in there. Our new spacers, we've also countersunk the end of the holes just to make it a bit better for the powder coating process and make it easier to get the bolts in. So they go on there like that. Have to leave the bolts flush to the end at the moment, but the idea is once the bolts go through, then we've got the frame on the outside, and then we've got a 10mm washer we're going to weld onto the outside of the frame to give it a bit more thickness to support on the bolt. Then we can put the nut on and we can cut the excess shred off. But we have to put the bolts in that way so that the bolts can hold these spaces, because when the frame's on, you won't be able to get your hand up in there to put them in, you see. So we reset them to there, fire up the tractor, and drop the frame on and hope it fits. It should do, because it's been on without spacers, so it should go on now with them.